Hello everyone, it's Amanda Muggleton.
And Val Lehman.
And this is episode 310.
One of my favourites, actually.
Is it?
Yes, because of the naughtiness we get up to.
You and I in particular. Don't ask me what's happened, up until this point.
Doesn't that actress play Erica Davidson's niece or something?
I don't know. You've got an amazing memory. Look how short your hair is. What was her name in the background there? She's gone.
I missed her.
No.
I know this.
What was her name?
I can tell you who did the murders, but I won't, I promise. Remember, all the prostitutes are being murdered.
Bumped off.
They're bumped off, that's right. And the person doing it is wearing the black leather gloves, look exactly like the freaks.
Who is this
Is
girl?
it the freak that's doing the murders? Look, here we go.
Black
She's
leather.
about to be dispatched.
Was she just brought in for this one episode, this girl? Or because
No, she's a character. I think, but not a major one.
Looks like Jane Scarley.
Does a bit, doesn't it?
It's not there. Dead.
Well, she probably didn't have a last name because now she's dead.
Penny, her name is.
Penny, that's right.
And
That's the rule. That's the rule, in television series. If you haven't got a last name, you get to be killed.
I talk about her as if I've known her all my life.
So Andrew Kennedy, dear friend of mine, and Patria Smallacombe wrote this particular episode. Andrew Kennedy, who I used to call Golly, was a very close friend of mine. Here she is.
What's that girl's name on the left?
On the left, I don't know, but the one on the right's Margot Gaffney, played by the wonderful
Clifton.
Jane Clifton. Yes.
I've just seen her do
What's she doing in this episode? Meg Morris is a prisoner.
I can't believe it.
She does get about, doesn't she?
I bet she had more fun inside than playing a screw.
Please cross about something. It's ripped.
Fix it!
God, who wrote that? I just said who wrote it, didn't I?
Nasty.
There's obviously something going on between those two.
She's trying to be top dog.
Just remembered what it was. No, she's bashed Meg Morris up.
What is Meg doing inside then?
What was it she did? Something you find a bit later in the episode, I think, what it was she did. I can't remember.
She was only in for a few days.
Yes, very briefly. Upset the department.
Now, who is this girl?
Got a volunteer for you, Bea?
So how come she looks like she's been drugged?
Can't remember her name, actually.
You can give Margot a hand with the folding. She'll be through any minute.
The gorgeous Wayne Jarrett.
Yes.
You know, when he left that show, he went on to, immediately out of prisoner, to go to Sydney to play in Death of a Salesman with Warren Mitchell and Mel Gibson. So he was more a stage actor than he was a screen actor.
I saw him do it.
He was very good. I saw it too.
He's another one who's passed away.
Yes,
he had got a brain tumour.
32 he was when he died.
Very young. And was going to marry a very good friend of mine, Anna Lee. And, of course,
very
that
sad.
wasn't to
She'd be
happen.
the type who'd die in bed.
See, that's dark. See how dark it
Yes,
is
it's
on
very
our
dark.
faces?
Yes.
Maybe they had trouble.
See, that's
lighting
dark,
us.
that one too.
Yeah.
Moody.
Moody Muggleton.
Oh, I wonder if... well, she found a light. Good. She was standing there in the dark for a minute.
What they want?
Information about the late Penny C.
That's one of the big differences, isn't it, between screen acting and stage acting?
How to find
your light.
Who cares? Come on.
See, it's like Penny's my best friend. I can't remember her up until that point.
Oh, well, all the prostitutes knew each other, didn't they?
But I'd been inside for a long time.
Well, this can be it. It's important.
Now, is she good or bad? She's made out to be bad by one bloke.
I think that she's a bit of a go-getter, this one.
An appeal could
She's a crafty little number. I don't think she comes to any... I think she comes to a sticky end, actually.
See how dark that is, look.
Here's his business phone number. Tell him that I must see him today,
That's a bit soon, isn't it?
or he'll come. Please?
He was a lovely man, Wayne.
Yes, he was. Very nice.
Who's that?
Anyone in particular, say, Someone with a grudge.
I don't know. You're working with him, you should know. I'm not in the scene. I'm not supposed to know.
They came and they went.
But all she was thinking about when she walked out of here was turning a few...
Oh, goodness me, I wonder how many people actually worked on this show all up. Thousands and thousands.
How many years did it run for altogether?
It went to air from 1979 to 1986.
It looks like she was happy in her work.
We started shooting on October the 31st, 1978.
Is it true? Was her neck broken?
It was. And whoever did it knew what they were doing. Very professional.
Now, that is a bit wanky, that lighting, don't you think?
I wonder who
I bet that actor's a bit cross if he knew you couldn't see his face. Doing all this acting and no one can see it. Of course, now we've got the fabulous freak.
Yes, Vinegar Tits has gone. Fiona Spence. Why did Fiona leave? I think she'd had enough,
I think she'd had enough, yes. She decided that she wanted to go on to greener pastures.
Your police friends want you to circulate.
The one great thing about Grundy's for me was that they did let me in and out to go and do theatre work. They were fantastic to me. In that, you know, I gave them plenty of warning. I said, you know, the Melbourne Theatre Company wants me to do Privates on Parade or The Matchmaker. I can't remember what shows they were, but they always used to write me out with a great story, and then I'd come back.
Yes, they wouldn't allow me to do a stage production. I actually wanted to do a professional major production of Applause, actually, I was asked to do. And Nolene Brown did it. I wasn't allowed to do it. But they did give me time off to do film. I did mini-series with the ABC, Outbreak of Love, and I also did Kitty and the Bagman.
Australia, with
movie.
Colette.
Oh,
Colette
yes,
did it
that's
too.
right.
Oh, the black gloves round the throat.
Is it the same one? Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Maybe I should have applied for the workshop. I don't even like doing my own laundry.
You remember Peter O'Connor?
Yes.
He was the props guy.
Yeah. He now works at Channel 7. I
That's
think.
right, he does too. I had strict instructions from me that if anyone else ever used a steam press, they weren't allowed to have as much steam.
She was really the top dog. Ah.
Do a pickup. Are you out early?
Yeah. I've been talking to the cops. You lot heard about Penny?
Yes, we heard it on the news.
They thought I might know something, like if she had any enemies.
Well, could you help them?
I couldn't think of nothing, not till after they'd gone.
And what then?
Well... Oh, no, you're going to think I'm round the twist.
Try me.
Try me.
Did you put that in?
I don't remember.
That couldn't have been scripted.
Like who?
That was an ad lib.
Oh, it very possibly could have been scripted because it was Andrew Kennedy was a bit that way inclined. It's very funny.
Hey, Super Sleuth here reckons the freak might have killed Penny. Mind you, she'd do a pretty good job on you.
Yeah.
They're doing the same acting as you were doing with Tilly and Newbold. Mine's worse than yours. Mine's worse.
I got it 20 times worse from her, and she enjoyed herself.
But this is murder, not just a screw bashing a crim.
Yeah, well, I haven't finished yet. I got this straight from the horse's mouth.
What are you on about?
Penny told me.
How long was Wayne Jarrett in the series
for? The other day and nearly broke her neck.
No, I don't actually remember. About
Look at the
4 months,
gorgeous
I mean.
Caroline
Oh,
Gilmer.
Caroline Gilmer, yeah.
Stand by for the shows.
She starts with an American accent, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. Oh, she often the character lapses into the American accent. It's put on. It's a character thing that she developed for Helen Smart.
Charged with soliciting for the purposes of prostitution and sentenced to 7 days imprisonment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your name is Helen Smart. Is that correct?
Yes.
You have been charged with soliciting for the purposes of prostitution and sentenced
Great
to 7
eyes.
days imprisonment.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Good actress.
She's just had a big hit, hasn't she, with Menopause the Musical. Did you see it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I've been working. It's a nice change.
They've been doing it all over the country. I think they're now in New Zealand. I don't know if she's gone with it. She's a great singer.
Terrific voice.
Miss Radcliffe. Miss Radcliffe will take you for your medical after you've had your shower, so get moving. Don't suppose Joan had a point, do you?
Now, who is this? Great voice.
Fields immediately. Well, you did say it was urgent.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name, and the odd thing is he came up with a radio program called The Vegemite Factor, which was about
Look how dark that is.
was about Australian colloquialism, because I actually did the first episodes of it. That asked me his name? Can't remember. You'll have to check it on the credits.
Well, it is a professional matter.
I'll be just outside.
Have you got him bringing you tea and Melba toast for breakfast?
Sit down.
Ooh.
He sounds a bit hoi polloi, doesn't he?
He mentioned you were thinking of appealing. I don't think that's very...
Yes, it is a great voice, and he was a radio person.
Fabulous.
I'll sit it out. But it's going to be worth my while. Did you bring the papers for the partnership?
Oh, yes, yeah.
I don't remember this storyline at all.
Already signed them.
All I can remember about it is that she gets some documents which she hides in the governor's office because she's allowed to work in there to keep her away from the other,
The mob.
The mob.
But what's
And
she
someone came up to me in the street and said, Barbara's hidden the stuff down the third drawer down in the governor's office in the filing cabinet. And I said, yes, I know. How do you know that? I read the script.
Be sure to give him my congratulations on our partnership.
I'll leave you a copy with administration.
No, Philip, this copy stays.
Bossy little piece of work, isn't she?
I'm going to read it every morning for the next 6 months. It'll remind me why I'm living in this.
I'm just jealous.
I'll also remind you to be discreet about my role in all of this.
I'm a businesswoman.
What's she done to be in there?
And as our business is at an end, I see...
Probably swindled someone out of a large amount of money or something.
Who's my successor? Or have you gone back to your wife?
I never left my wife.
Cutting.
And you never leave me until I say so.
You're kidding me. So she's in here as a prisoner? Yeah, well, she stuck up for duty when Margot did a fit for Barnett. The magistrate did not like it and gave her 3 days.
That's Meg they're talking about. That's what she's in for.
Contempt of court.
You lay off me, Margot. I've had a gutful of you.
I'll stay here if you want to do the solitary meals.
You're scaring me to death. You know what you would have copped if you'd have left. Yeah. What you're gonna cop if you keep riding me, so just lay off.
Yes, lay off, Margot.
Make me. I'd like to see you.
This is because you're up for parole.
That's
aren't you?
right, so poor old Bee's trying to behave herself.
In your dreams, love.
Who'd parole her, for God's sake? How many people she killed by now? Wouldn't you hate to live next door to Bea Smith? Be right, living next door to Chrissie Latham, you locked your husband up.
Thanks, Val.
It's all right.
But you just won that round. Yeah? So how come I feel like some broken-down old hack?
Oh, she's had an idea.
Excuse me, miss.
Stab a sausage, give you an idea.
Oh, look at that girl. Who is that? She looks like she belongs to the Amish.
Don't be like that.
A scarf and glasses.
Yes, well.
She wouldn't have been allowed a scarf.
No, she had to have a scarf to cover her head because she's serving food.
Oh, quite right.
Don't worry about it. She frowns on any involvement with the prisoners. If there is any, that is.
No, understandably. And in this case, wisely.
How do you mean?
Oh, Mr. Faulkner, in my opinion, Barbara Fields has a dollar sign where there ought to be a heart. Take Mrs.
Or some Mr. Faulkner fancies Barbara.
I don't need her advice. Or yours.
She's using you. Well, among others. And if you feel about her the way I think you do, I wish you all...
Can't believe he's dead.
Young
boy.
You are going to need it.
Yeah.
Okay, girls, use me. What am I on? Washing, drying, folding?
How about the press? Doesn't look like Bea's up to it.
And are you up to taking it off me?
Well, it's nothing to do with me. I just thought you might like the rest. Well, maybe Mrs. Morris could do it.
She's going the right way for a smack, Val.
Yes, I think
Margot Gaffney.
I've got a funny feeling something nasty could happen to her any minute.
Was. And if you don't get off everyone's back, Margot, you're going to be wearing a few bruises of your own.
Oh, yeah? Heard any more about your parole, Bea?
What's the hold-up?
No hold up, Mr. Faulkner. Is there, Margot? Come on, get back to work. Everything's under control, Mr. Faulkner.
Glad to hear it. Fields, want a word with you?
Don't let her get on top of you, Bea. You're going to walk out of this place. Look, you know about regulations. I know about surviving, and this is not the way to do it.
I think I should have had that tin of Ajax out again.
Do you get out? I can't remember.
What do you expect me to do?
On parole? I don't know. Maybe that's the lead. Is that perhaps the lead up to the storyline where she goes out and works in the printers or something?
Did you say something about it?
No.
You were right. I mentioned the...
She usually blows it though for parole.
We all blew it every time.
Yeah, all the time.
They had to keep us in, didn't they?
Mm. Well, what would they have done without us?
He insinuated that you were selfish, mercenary, that money was the only thing you cared about.
And you believed him?
No, of course not. It just shook me up a bit, that's all. Why didn't you want me in the interview room? Don't you trust me?
You're the only one that I can trust. But I didn't want Philip to see that.
You're not making sense.
Don't trust her, Mr. Faulkner. She's playing you for a fool.
He's married and settled and, well, I just became frightened. I want a life of my own. I don't want to share another woman's. Philip took it very badly. He thinks I'm selfish because I left him. And he thinks I'm mercenary because I'm concerned for my own future. Don't let him win, Steve.
You'd better get back.
Little dimples.
Little dimples, yes.
Keeping on.
There we are, mopping again.
Jeez, how much more do we have to do? Oh, not much now. God, I don't know. A couple of days ago, I was doing this same job with Penny.
I don't think they would have let that blonde girl have all that hair hanging about inside prison either. They're probably afraid of headlights.
You don't need everyone. Oh, you'll find them all in here, love. They're bringing them in by the truckload. Oh, bugger, I've run out of water. I'll have to go and get some more.
We had to, because we had to have a reason to walk into the freak, you see. Some of the problem is that the script runners have never mopped the floor either.
Miss Ferguson, do you think you can remember that?
Yes, Miss Ferguson.
Oh, yes, I remember now. Soliciting, wasn't it?
Yes.
Well, you're in good company with Latham. Get on with it.
The character everyone loved to hate.
She hates prose.
She hates prose.
I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if Penny found out just before she had her neck broken.
Shock horror.
Mm.
Okay, everyone. Smoko.
How long was Caroline Gilmore in for?
She was in and out all the time, which was quite a nice role to play, really. It was a fun role, and she was, whenever they had a storyline about prostitutes, she was involved.
Oh, Bea, you can manage it without me, can't
We
you?
seem to be best friends in this one. How did we do that? I think once I had the baby, I became,
Acceptable.
your best friend.
She's never going to let up unless we front her.
All right, then, what you got in mind?
I've done no more for Barbara than I have for Bea or Lizzie. So what's the difference?
The difference is that Bea and Lizzie don't look like Barbara.
You mean I'm not allowed to help the pretty ones?
I mean, you're not allowed to help yourself.
That's a great line.
Yeah. Is it Denise Morgan again?
No, this is
Anthony.
Andrew Kennedy and Patricia Smallacombe.
That is a great line.
Thanks. Get lost and forget about it.
Oh, I remember this. Have you ever tried
What's going on, Bea?
to handle kapok carefully without it going everywhere. It is a bitch. No, it's not feathers, it's kapok.
Why don't you just go to the rec room and do just...
It's feathers.
It's kapok, I promise you. It looks like feathers, it is kapok.
Kapok like polystyrene?
No.
Mrs. Morris.
Yeah, well, Gary up. She's
It's fibre, but it isn't feathers. It looks like feathers, but I know it's not. So I remember.
Oh, it was all up our nose, wasn't it?
Yes, it was everywhere.
I'm not
Terrible.
going to forget what she did to me, and nor the other women. There's a score that has to be settled. Of course, you could always report it, Mrs. Morris. Bea, think what's at stake. That's exactly what I'm doing. Grab that.
Tom.
Where would they get feather pillows in a prison, please?
As if. Oh, do you remember the shower scenes that we always had to do?
Vividly.
We had boob tubes on, so it made it look like we were naked behind those little doors.
Now, this is one of the fun things about being an actor, the things you get to do to other actors.
Yeah.
And get paid for it. Fortunately, Jane's a terrifically good sport. We had to do this in one take too, and you'll see why in a minute, but it's fairly messy.
Rape!
Yeah, and they had to heat up or warm the treacle so that it would run. Otherwise it just... Oh, that is real warm treacle all over her. And kapok from the pillow.
How did they get it off her?
Oh, they just put her under the shower, presumably.
Yeah, but it took her a long time.
And then
to
I
clean
ad-lib a naughty thing at the end, remember? But you're such a swift, smart, quick actor, you caught what I was doing. That's a marvellous thing about working with someone like you. Yes.
Did, yeah.
I bashed it out there. And this is the bit where I ad-lib and we're about to leave. I go, oh, hang on. Flush the lavatory. And the marvellous thing is you realise, of course, and you laughed, even though that wasn't actually in the script. And the director said, cut, what have you done? I said, you'll have to put the sound effect in later.
I am absolutely appalled at what has happened here this afternoon.
You know, we're awfully lucky at the calibre of the actors and the people in the show that working together. We were so lucky with the other people we had to work with. I mean, working with you is such a joy.
Well,
and it's
feelings mutual.
Having really other good actors to bounce
around
off.
you.
Yes.
It made us all look good.
It did, I think, because sometimes I think, and I don't mean this unkindly, but sometimes our job was to make shit shine.
Yeah.
Frankly, sorry writers, but sometimes we didn't make it shine, and that's when we were not doing our job perhaps. But yes, very often the writing, I think we were better than the writing sometimes.
Well, I must say Grundy's did let us ad-lib a bit, didn't they? It's like if a script came through that you weren't happy with, you could rework it together. And often you and I would ad-lib a scene because it was much better than the scene that we were given to do that was actually written down.
Yes, but I got into trouble for that.
Did you?
Yes, I did, because the journalist was on the set when I actually did it, and I completely rewrote a scene. Basically, well, I reconstructed a scene and said, no, I can't say this and should, and I did it very quickly on my feet and changed it. And of course he went and wrote an article about me doing it, and the writers were up in arms.
Oh, no.
And I was supposed to be carpeted by the producer, but the producer at the time said, no, I'm sorry, if that's what happened when the journalist was there, then that's what happened.
As long as you fitted it in to the 2 minutes 45 or 1 minute 60 that, most of these scenes are.
As long as what happened at the ends of the sentences, so that the boom operator knew when to move the microphone. That was important.
Yeah.
So your cues had to be similar. Do you remember our very first Christmas party?
Remind me.
Well, we had started shooting in October 1978, and the Christmas party was in December. It was our breakup before we had 4 weeks holiday. We had already been contracted for another 6 months. We had a 16-week contract to start with, and they'd asked us to stay on, but none of us had actually ever seen any of it. And so we're all sort of, told, oh, good, Christmas breakup party. So we get to the offices in South Yarra and Claremont Street, I think it was South Yarra, the Grundy offices, and we marched in there, and there were cars cardboard boxes lined with paper towels with cubes of coon cheese and bread rolls and some biscuits and some casks, that's right, casks, cardboard handbags of wine, and that was it. And we just sort of looked at this in absolute amazement.
We worked so hard.
Damn cheapskates. But turns out it wasn't, Grundy's weren't going to give us any sort of break-up. It was the people in the office in Melbourne. And Grundy's had never done a production in Melbourne before Prisoner. It was the first one that was Melbourne-based. And so it was just the office guys that put it together for us. But the great magic thing about it is they showed us
some of the clips,
and we were astounded. Yes, yeah. And so because we hadn't seen it put together before, and that was what was really interesting, and it was really mesmerising.
Yes. Grundy's gave us, as the show became more and more successful, they did turn it on then, didn't they?
Yes, big dinners at the Biltmore and all sorts of things, but we were making a lot of money for them too.
Yes. Now, this girl is like a carbon copy. It's Lisa Crittenden, but she's like a carbon copy of Colette in her voice and everything. So Colette's left the season.
Now, that had never occurred to me. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Her voice is just like... Where is Colette now?
Well, Colette and Gerard Maguire both left the show at the same time. Yes, they've gone. I think they actually went before we shot Kitty and the Bagman, because Gerard Maguire was in Kitty and the Bagman, the movie too.
Right.
And Liddy Clark.
Yeah, she went into politics, didn't she?
She did, yes, indeed she did.
The Labour Party up in Brisbane, she is.
And that was unusual in those days. All those Melbourne people to be in a movie shot in Sydney. We were called the Melbourne Mafia. Doesn't happen much these days.
She is just not like Colette's character.
Yes, the phrasing's similar. Look at her, isn't she gorgeous?
Sheila in her hat.
Her best outfit.
Yeah.
Sign up and forget this whole business.
I doubt that.
Hardly an ideal experience for an officer.
Oh, I don't know.
I did a play some years later with Patsy King called Farewell Brisbane Ladies, which we took to Tasmania. And then we were supposed to do a season at the Universal, but Patsy got laryngitis. I think we got cancelled after about 2 shows.
Oh.
But yes, you might as well start on a normal shift.
I'll see you later.
How come the governor is taking her to an old people's home?
I'll give her something to do.
Get her out of the prison.
Get her out of the prison, yes.
Oh, it must have been frustrating. She was always in that office, wasn't she?
Exactly. There was not much scope for the character outside.
Look at that for a set. That old phone. Look, the old green phone. This is meant to be the mother of the hoi polloi girl, isn't it?
No, this is the mother of
Lisa Crittenden.
Lisa Crittenden's character, Maxine.
Oh, no wonder we haven't heard from you. Why are you in jail?
What are you doing in jail?
Well, I just sold some stuff.
She's a motorcycle riding person, isn't she, her character? Yeah.
Obviously you have.
Oh, you make it sound like I murdered somebody.
It's just like...
Doesn't she escape with
one of us?
With someone?
With Sheila, isn't it?
I think it might be Sheila, actually.
You and Dad had come and see
Nah, I don't think so.
Yes, Ma. At the jail.
Oh, Maxine,
Well, I guess that's the sort of thing that really does happen to a lot of prisoners, that their family just don't want to know them anymore. So, and it's fairly hard to take.
I suppose
They don't take into consideration that they have
I'll talk to
crossed the boundaries and upset society, and their families are part of society, and they're upset as well and don't want to know them.
Bye.
She ended up being an agent, Lisa Crittenden, didn't she?
I don't know.
I don't think
she?
she's doing it anymore. Yes,
No, she
I'm pretty
did,
sure
yeah.
she had her own agency.
Well, what about Maura Fay?
Yes.
Fantastic, huge. She's still a big agency. And poor Maura's gone now, sadly, but she started off as an office girl, Grundy's, yes.
Oh, she started off in wardrobe.
No, she started off in the office in Melbourne.
She came into wardrobe for 5 minutes.
Oops.
Maybe. Certainly is a lovely place. Have you been here long?
Oh, look, I love this. They've both got the same shawls on, look. Everybody's crocheting.
When was that?
August.
Oh, I must have come in July.
He's good, this bloke.
What do you do around here? I mean...
God, I wonder if they're still alive.
Don't.
Well, you know, we're telling you about all the young ones that have gone.
Short holidays.
Oh, where'd you go?
All sorts of places.
That's one of the odd things about seeing yourself so much younger on screen, but also knowing that, well, particularly with this release of the DVDs, you know, going on, that how much longer, you know, how many more years are people going to be watching us that young, you know? We could be dead and gone. It's a weird thought, isn't it?
Why don't you go
Well, some of them are dead and gone. They are playing Snap in the background. Do you believe they're playing Snap?
Oh, God. Look at the Queen. There's a picture of the Queen up there.
Yeah, this is a real,
And a
that
tapestry.
location is a real old
is
people's
it?
home. Yeah.
She looks a bit nervous.
Must be a fairly grand building, actually. Look at those.
She's had the hairdresser in.
Mm.
You'd certainly be doing the right thing.
Oh, no, don't,
I love that.
I
Your
think
mother.
Your mother, yes.
That's
Of course.
There's another one, crocheting. She does not know how to knit. Look at the mess she's making. And, you know, it's really funny because she's probably going through her lines at this very point,
Yes,
knowing that
yeah.
Sheila's coming up behind
Well,
her.
can you imagine what it would be like for an actor that's never been in the show before to come in and have to do a scene with one of the biggest stars in the show?
Yeah.
I guess they'll probably, you know.
Oh, but she's very good. She's very good, this woman.
And what a lot of people don't realise is it wasn't all hard work on Prisoner, was it? We actually got to do quite a few interesting things, and a lot of festive stuff. They'd rope us into. Well, for instance, Channel 10 had the rights to put the Melbourne Cup to air, so we were always invited to the Melbourne Cup.
VIP
Yes.
treatment, limousines, champagne all the way, dressed by whoever you could get to dress you, and.
That's right. Well, that's right. Yes, I do remember one of the actors actually returning a very nice piece to George's, and it had butter stains all down the front. But I shan't tell you who it was.
Oh, it wasn't me.
It wasn't you. No, it wasn't you.
George Cross, you mean?
It was a George Gross
beautiful.
outfit. Yes, ruined blue silk it was, and it wasn't me either. It was someone who played a major character in Prisoner, though, but not a prisoner. I'd leave you guessing.
I think I know.
Going to the races was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Oh, what about Moomba?
Oh, Val, don't remind me. They put us on, we had a whole prisoner float and we were on it. We got on it at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yes,
and we were
dawn.
still on it at
It was
midday.
stinking hot.
It was so hot.
And they hadn't started the parade, and we're there hours.
Waiting to start the parade. We had
Drinking
to be
all this
there.
soft drink. Because it's
And
so
of course,
hot.
Nature called with me because I've got a very small bladder.
Not only you, I was desperate
were
to go
all-
in. My legs were plaited.
So we found ourselves.
Madam
parked.
says to me, I'm desperate for a pee. And I said, you feel like peeing in a brothel. She said, what do you
I said, I don't care where it is. I just have to go.
What do you mean? I said, see those big terrace houses across the road, right
That's
up on
what
the
street
top.
we were in?
We were in
Flinders?
Swanston
Swanston Street.
I said, right up the top. So the girls, you can just barely see them sitting on the balcony up there. I said, that's a brothel. No, it's not, she said. I said, yeah, come on, tis. I said,
We got off the float.
Yeah, got off the float. Stood in the middle of the road and said, hey, can we use your loo? I whistled, remember,
You
my
did.
huge whistle.
You did.
And this girl sort of peed, can we use your loo?
And there was Bea Smith and Chrissie Latham, who, of course, the
we're in
girls knew.
costume.
We're in total costume. They were hysterical.
And you know, they opened the door about 2 inches, and
Yes.
this little hand comes out. It says, yes, come on, so we snuck in.
I've never, ever been in a brothel.
Well, nor have
obviously,
I.
in my life. It was fascinating. But weren't they lovely, those women?
Oh, they were. And they took
were
us up to this
adorable.
very, very posh bathroom. And Amanda says to me, oh, I didn't know they had bathrooms. And I said, well, if I was going to screw them, I'd wash them first as well.
But every room had, you know, a little ensuite.
An incredible red velvet curtains
pink
and
and-
flocked wallpaper.
Oh,
and
it was
really, or early
hysterical.
old Melbourne motor inn, I called the day.
And of course, I didn't want to go because being the part of a prostitute in prison, I thought I could glean a bit of info here, do a bit of research. And then before we knew it, the float was off and we had to dash back on. In fact, you and I were running by the side of it trying to get on it.
The girls were great, though. And I said, just as well there wasn't a journalist standing up the front saying, what 2 prisoner fans were seen coming out of a brothel? which actually did happen on one occasion, but I've already spoken about that.
Oh, yes. A male, you mean? A male.
More than one, 3 of them.
Don't go there, Val.
Don't go there. I already have. I've told that story.
On air? Cheeky.
She has a terrible fear of being sent to
Adrian Wright, good actor.
What's happened to him? I haven't seen him for years.
Well, you know what it's like in this country. You have sort of success on a roster system.
A merry-go-round.
Yes. There she's a good actress, and of course comes from a theatrical family.
Yes. She's got such intensity about her.
Yes. True. What's she doing now? Do you know?
She's still acting up in Sydney.
I know she lives in Sydney. And I think her daughter's acting too now, this young girl. That's terrifying, isn't it? I mean, my daughter, who played Bea Smith's tragic daughter Debbie, is now 44.
With how many children?
Well, she has 2 children. And my other
You're
daughter,
a
I'm a grandmother 5 times. And my other daughter has 3 children.
I was brought up in the country too. Loved it.
We occasionally did personal appearances, things in stores and in shopping malls. And I don't know if you were there. The very, very first one we ever did was during the time we were filming the pantomime. This is when Rowena Wallace was in the show and immediately and buried us all in a tunnel afterwards. Anyway, we'd taken so long filming all this stuff, and we had a real audience of a whole lot of children. It was taking a long time to get them organised, and so they're getting very anxious because we're supposed to do this personal appearance in our meal break. I'm here to tell you, and so we all had to go and do it in our costumes that we happened to be in at the moment. So there am I dressed as an ugly sister. And Colette Mann as Colette Mann as Cinderella, and I can't remember what Sheila was. I don't think she was the prince. No, that was.
She would have been another ugly sister.
No. Betty Bobbitt was the other ugly sister. I think that she was, the widow Twanky or something. Yeah. Doing this, we were not expecting
fairy godmother.
The audience,
fairy godmother.
That's right. She was the fairy godmother.
Yeah.
Of course, the audience weren't exactly expecting these people.
They didn't recognise us.
No, they were expecting prisoner stars, not pantomime people. Yeah.
But the public interactions with the public were always crazy. You go into supermarkets to do your shopping, and people would just stop and stare at you and say, "What are you doing in a supermarket?"
And what are you doing eating?
What are you doing out? They literally believed you so much that you were in prison.
You had problems with the police, didn't you?
I did. What about when I gave birth to Elizabeth and the whole of Channel 10 was inundated with soft toys and babies' clothes, which we promptly gave to the, and flowers I got,
I'll come and see you again.
which we gave to the children's homes and hospitals.
Stuff,
But the police figure so much in my life. It's Christmas one year and I've been frantically going around doing all my Christmas shopping, and I've got both armfuls full of bags, and I see 2 cops coming towards me, and I didn't take much notice of them. And as they got to me, they separated, and each of them put an arm through my arm and lifted me off the ground and started walking me backwards, saying, "Latham, what are you doing out? We're taking you back to Wentworth." And of course, everybody in the street stopped, and it was fabulous. And then, of course, they attracted so much attention. I then had to stand there for half an hour and sign autographs.
It was a problem. If you stood still, people sort of immediately flocked towards you.
Yes, you could make them not come towards you, or if you were feeling good on a day, you could say, "It's me, it's definitely me," But there are days when you thought, "I've got so much to do, I can't be stopped today," and you can make them.
You just
go
don't
away.
make eye contact.
Yeah.
You just sort of, if you don't make that contact, that visual contact with people, they don't.
They get scared about meeting you.
Also, but once you look at them, they take as the invitation.
Yes.
To approach you.
But the funniest story that ever happened was I was doing a show in Canberra, and I was driving home, and I was aware of this car by the side of me with 2 men in it looking at me. I thought, "Oh, I don't like this." So I locked all my windows and doors, got up to the next set of traffic lights, and suddenly a blue light came out on a plain car. I thought, "Oh, Christ, what have I done?" So they pulled me over. We got off the side of the road, and they said, "Are you?" I wound down my window. "Are you aware that your rear light isn't working?" I said, "No, I'm not. I'm awfully sorry." It was my little orange Honda Civic. Do you remember the Honda Civic? I've got another story to tell. Remember when I was late? Anyway, that's another story. And so they they said licence. So I got my licence out, and they looked at it, and he took it to the mate and looked at my photo and looked at the name, and he came back. He said, "Get out of the car." So I said, "Yes." I got out of the car, and he said, "We have reason to believe that you are masquerading as somebody else. What is your real name?" I said, "Amanda Muggleton." "No, it isn't," they said. "You are Chrissie Latham, and you should be in Wentworth. You're nicked." Well, of course, I completely fell apart, laughing, and they had a laugh. They said, "Look, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning because I'd been at some party or something, for the theatre show I was doing." They said, "You would really make our day if you came back to the police station and met the Sarge." I followed them back to the police station, and I sat there having a cup of tea with all these police. It was the loveliest night. And then at about 3 o'clock in the morning, these 2 young boys were brought in, and they'd been holding up a garage, and they put me in with these 2 boys, and they recognised me, and they made me pretend to be Chrissie and say, "Don't do it, love, look at me." And these boys would have been all of 15, 16. So I was still in the police station till about 4 o'clock in the morning.
One of the things I've always said about you, you'll be in anything from pitch and toss to manslaughter. You're a bit like me. Yeah, I'll come. Yes, why not? Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah, well, you've got to. Life's, an adventure.
Exactly, I do agree with you.
Look at Ian Smith. Look how young he is.
Yes, goodness
when you think
me.
of him now in Neighbours.
And how trim, by comparison.
Beautifully trim, isn't he?
He, of course, was script editor as well in those days.
Yes. Yeah, he had a lot to do with what we were all doing.
He certainly did.
Who's that actor?
I can't remember.
Because it actually looks like the solicitor again.
No, it's not. Different actor.
What were you doing?
Haven't you got eyes in your head? Who are you talking to? Oh, miss.
Oh, she's a villain, isn't she? She was a villain in real life, old Sheila, too. Goodness me.
She lived every minute.
She used to sometimes object to some things that Grundy's did, and she'd scream and carry on and holler on the set, and I'm going to ring them up, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and da. And she'd get into the green room, and she'd pick up the phone, and she'd ring Grundy's, and they'd answer, and she'd say, "Val Lehman wants to talk to you."
Wordsworth, the condition of your parole states that you are to retire in a nursing home. That's it.
Well, you can tell the parole board to stick at me, because I'm not...
Oh, she's wonderful.
Oh, take me to get a bucket and mop, will you, love? I've got to clean up all this rotten mess.
Oh. Erika.
Wordsworth, I was under the impression she was at death's door.
No, she's not going to get a parole, you see. That's that.
Your tea tray, she informed me she is now not going to the nursing home.
What?
Yes. And after seeing her, I couldn't agree more. That woman is as fit as I am.
You know, that was a real character. Her character was based on a real character, too.
Was it really?
And the real character's name was very, very similar. Obviously, I can't tell you what it is. But they had interviewed her at great length, and she really had been a shearer's cook, and she was put in prison and accused of killing 6 of them, poisoning them. And on the deathbed, this man confessed, and she was not guilty at all. And they used the story for Sheila, and they kept mentioning it, but they never ever sent her photographs, they never sent her autographs, and she actually rang a radio station of which I was giving an interview once in Sydney. And I rang her back and spoke to her and sent photographs and autographs and things. I was disappointed that they had sort of used up her story, but they hadn't bothered to follow up. Her social worker was very concerned too, because they had to stop mention of the murder that she had been accused of, because it was upsetting her so much, so that they had to tell the writers not to use it anymore.
Oh. I hear about my sister and everything.
See, we told you everything would be okay.
Yeah.
They did an enormous amount of research before they started on the scripts, and that's one thing I was of great value to us.
And it was great to be taken out to Fairley Prison and Pentridge, wasn't it?
Yeah. Do you remember the prison governor out there? Well, she wasn't the governor; she was the deputy governor. Remember Sheila D. me in the ribs saying, "Ask about the lesbian thing." Ask about the lesbian thing. Turns out that she'd been living with the governor for years and years. Because she said nothing like that happens in this prison.
Who had been living with her?
The deputy governor had been living with the governor, who was another lady for something like 12 years. They were lesbians.
I don't know where she digs all this up
And we
from.
weren't allowed to speak to any of the prisoners, which was really annoying.
Yeah, they
Except
just
to the
let
one
us
that
have a
served us afternoon tea in the Deputy Governor's office,
right.
who was a sort of like pet, I think.
Mama, what's it, from Chicago? What is it?
I've played her.
Oh, you have
I've
too,
played Mama
yes.
Morton twice.
Mama
yes.
Morton.
And you and I, well, I mean, you had huge success doing the play Steaming, touring nationally.
Yes.
And I've just directed the little tiny Winnie production of it and played Mrs. Meadow.
Oh, you would have been sensational. I wish I could have seen it.
Yes, lovely, lovely role.
You know, I couldn't get an audition for Steaming.
You couldn't?
No. And then Rodney Fisher was in Perth, and he was forced, because he was a theatre man down to the end, and he used to, he was staying with a family who were avid prisoner watchers, and Rodney had auditioned hundreds and hundreds of girls for the part of Josie, and I came up on the screen, and he said, "Who's that?" "That's the girl I want to play Josie in Steaming." And he waited to the end, and was looking for the names, and saw that Chrissie was, and all he could remember it was Amanda da-da-da. And that's what he said to Wilton Morley and Peter, who were the producers. Her name is Amanda somebody, Amanda da-da-da, because, you know, they go so quick. He missed the Muggleton part. So, and that started me off on, you know, the most wonderful career in theatre. You know, I couldn't even get an audition for Prisoner when it first started. Eventually, I turned up unannounced with a friend who did have an audition, and everyone's name was on a list, and of course they got to me, and I said, "Amanda Muggleton," and they said, "You're not on the list." "What do you mean I'm not on the list? Give me a phone, I've got to phone my agent." "Calm down," she said, "calm down." I said, "Look at me, I've been sitting here for an hour and a half, I'm all made up, dressed to kill, you're telling me I can't go through that door?" Of course I made such a fuss, she let me go through. End of story. I got the part. Thank you for watching and listening to us going on about old times and old memories.
Isn't it fun?
Fabulous.